Blue Jean is a masterful gem of a film that follows a PE teacher called Jean in 1988's Northern England as she navigates her work with her identity as a closeted lesbian. Tensions are high for Jean.
You do realise that they fill our tellies with this here to distract us from what's really going on?
Not everything is political.
Of course it is.
There is a proposed Article 28 making headlines where local authorities shall not intentionally promote homosexuality or publish materials with the intention of promoting homosexuality or promote the teaching in any maintained school of the acceptability of homosexuality as a pretended family relationship.
What does that even mean? Pretended family relationships?
Because of this, she is especially cautious about keeping her identity a secret. When a new student, Lois, arrives at her school with rumours swirling around her that she is gay...
Do you think I'm sexy? Don't touch me, you fucking dyke!
Jean is confronted with the shame she carries for her sexuality, as well as the fear that if she supports her, she'll be outed and lose her job.
If anyone found out, I'd never work again.
It's quite a stretch, don't you think?
No, it isn't.
The shame is not only impacting her work life, but permeates into every corner of her life, including her warm and loving relationship with her girlfriend Vivian. This film elegantly explores this idea of shame. From the very first frame we are shown the layers Jean is carrying. We see her colouring her hair an artificial blonde, symbolic of how she hides herself. She sits in front of the telly watching a dating show which only reaffirms a heterosexual narrative that she is no doubt internalising. She sits alone to eat, keeping herself separate from her fellow teachers, and never agrees to go out for the Friday night drinks.
Take it you don't want to come for a pint then? One day I will crack you, Jean Newman.
Her work life is kept strictly separate from her private life as a survival response. The truth is that her fears are not unfounded. It's illustrated with the neighbour that watches her from her window, the fact that she doesn't visit her mother since coming out to her sister telling her that her 5-year-old son seeing her girlfriend at her place when he is unexpectedly dropped off is confusing for him. It's how her boss at work is in favour of Article 28, or how when she is out with Vivian they get disapproving stares from the elderly ladies. This consistent and low-level homophobia Jean has to live with is a daily reminder to be careful. So seeing Lois, her new student from school at the local queer bar, is unwelcomed. It is a melding of these two carefully curated worlds, and her first instinct is to keep Lois at arm's length. It means that when Lois is being bullied on suspicion of being gay, Jean is reluctant to step in and instead of defending her, is telling her to pull her head in.
They need to be careful, is what I'm saying. If it comes to it, your word against hers. You know what they'll believe, don't you?
So, it doesn't even matter what happened?
The issue comes to a head when Siobhan, the girl spearheading the bullying, kisses Lois in the girl's showers and then pushes her off and feigns that she was attacked by Lois. Jean, having seen the incident, knows very well that Siobhan is lying, but she is paralysed by the fear that if she were to speak up in defence of Lois, then suspicions could very well turn on her. With this, the film did an excellent job of pulling us into Jean's state of mind, allows us as the audience to feel compassion for her behaviour, which, on the surface, comes across as cold, uncaring and standoffish. We are also given a window into other ways in which shame will express itself in the character of Siobhan. While her antagonistic behaviour to Lois could initially be interpreted as jealousy because she feels threatened by Lois taking her place on the netball team, it appears that it's more complicated than that. In kissing Lois, it suggests that she is queer too, but she, like Jean, carries these internalised messages about how homosexuality is wrong and doesn't have a healthy way to express her desires. But the film is not all bleak. We're also given a glimpse into a world that isn't defined by shame through Jean's girlfriend, Vivian, and her friends. Vivian, with her shaved head and studded leather, is easily identifiable as queer. It's a choice that she has made to be unapologetically herself, and if anyone doesn't like it, then it's their problem. It's a place she and others have had to fight for, but in doing so, they've carved out a space for themselves where it's warm and inviting, with a community built up around them. Jean hovers on the edge of this world and her work life, existing in a liminal space that is only made tolerable by her loving and tender relationship with Vivian. The love story between Jean and Vivian is truly lovely. There is a great chemistry between them, and it makes for some wonderful representation that doesn't fall into that all too common femme-on-femme dynamic that makes up the majority of sapphic couples in media. The only time we see Jean happy is when she is with Vivian. There is a comfort and ease between them, and it's clear that for both of them, this is a meaningful relationship. Vivian, while having the outward appearance of being a tough dyke on a bike, has an endearing vulnerability to her that I really liked. However, all of the little remarks and actions from Jean that shows her discomfort at being with someone so clearly queer drives a wedge between them.
Just because I don't parade my sexuality around like a badge of honour. And I do. Is that it?
Whether it's when Jean's nephew Sammy is brought to stay the night and Jean asks her to, essentially, hide because her sister might have an objection to Sammy being in the presence of a woman who looks like her, or it's Jean's discomfort when others judge them. While Vivian is understanding, forgiving her after their arguments, as the instances build up, she realizes how deep Jean's internalized homophobia goes, and she understandably doesn't want that kind of relationship. Someone who hasn't fully come to terms with themselves because it poisons things and she's worked too hard to be who she is. By the way, spoilers from here on out. This moment serves as the turning point for the film. While I don't think that Jean is wrong for wanting to protect herself, I do believe that what she fears is very much a possible reality for her. She also realizes not just that her actions towards Lois were wrong, but how harmful they were. Her means of amends is to invite Lois to a birthday party for one of Vivian's flatmates, and through it invites Lois into the community where she will be able to find the support that she needs. There is a key moment where Lois asks about a fund that is used to get the birthday girl a present, and one of the flatmates explains that those that have a real job, those essentially who can pass in mainstream society, people like Jean, contribute to this fund so that those that, due to how they present themselves in the world, can't hold down the better paying jobs, can be looked after. This moment beautifully recontextualizes Jean's place in that community. She might hover on the edges, feeling like she doesn't belong anywhere, but her role is, in fact, vital to the thriving of the community. Though she must navigate the treacherous path between two worlds, it is far from inconsequential. This also helps serve as the resolution for the conflict between Jean and Lois, as Lois realizes Jean is doing her best. I thought it was a lovely, elegant way to bring that resolution about. It doesn't absolve Jean of her behaviour, nor does it mean the world has changed, but Jean has been subtly transformed. There is a path forward for her that doesn't have to be steeped in the heaviness of the shame that she's had to carry until now. And best of all, it seems that Vivian sees this and she is willing to give Jean another chance, which is done with little more than a look and a few words, but their eyes are both brimming with the love that they have for each other, and it made for a satisfying conclusion to this film. It's an eloquent film that beautifully explores how trauma perpetuates itself and how that cycle can be broken. It speaks to the bravery that being authentic takes, but how vital it is because otherwise it seeps like a poison into every crevice of our lives. This feels like a rare queer film. It depicts a thriving queer culture that all too often is left out of sapphic representation. While it has a lesbian love story threaded in there that is pivotal to the story, the focus isn't on that uniquely, offering up a different type of dynamic with Jean and Louise. It feels like an important slice of queer history that also ultimately tells a far more universal story through its themes. It is an impressive feature film debut for writer and director Georgia Oakley. It's a hidden gem I highly recommend. Depending on where you live, Blue Jean is widely available on Apple Plus or Prime Video. In Canada, it's free on Canopy, and it's free on the BBC iPlayer. If you're looking for other films that I have loved, check out the playlist on your screen, and until next time, lady lovers.